Could Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky be preparing to outmaneuver Donald Trump once again? What sounds like a plot twist in a geopolitical thriller is quickly becoming a real-world possibility. And at the center of this unfolding story is a new U.S.-Ukraine resource deal, a 40-page document currently being discussed behind closed doors. According to Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Honcharenko, the deal isn't being drafted by Ukrainian officials. It's being written by the U.S. Treasury Department. That's right, not the State Department, not a joint team, but the American agency that handles money, finances, and long-term economic leverage. This raises an obvious question. Why is the United States writing a resource strategy for Ukraine without Ukraine? To understand what's going on, we have to go back a few years. During Trump's presidency, a similar deal had been proposed. Its goal was to create a long-term framework between the U.S. and Ukraine to coordinate energy infrastructure, financial investment, and strategic resources. But Trump didn't like the original terms. He refused to sign it. He wanted more favorable conditions for the U.S. Behind closed doors, the first deal reportedly included terms that gave U.S. companies partial access to reconstruction projects, preferential treatment for American contractors, and even discussions about oversight over certain state-owned assets. Ukraine's parliament never reviewed that draft, and opposition politicians claimed it was intentionally hidden from public debate. The whole agreement collapsed when Trump rejected it, but the controversy remained. Now, with Trump aiming for a return to office, the deal is back, and some believe it's been restructured to reflect Trump's priorities. But here's where it gets even more controversial. The new version reportedly includes discussion of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Zaporizhzhia is one of the largest nuclear power stations in Europe. Since the beginning of the war, it's been a hot zone. Russian troops have occupied the area, and although the plant is still technically part of Ukraine's infrastructure, control over it is unclear and contested. According to recent reports, Trump raised the idea of including the plant in the New Deal, perhaps through international oversight or American-led investment. That suggestion did not go over well in Kyiv. Zelensky's response was sharp and immediate. "I told Trump, handing over Zaporizhzhia won't work. It doesn't run without us. And it certainly won't run for Russia. No one is giving electricity to the Russians." At the same time, the Russian Foreign Ministry doubled down. They stated that Zaporizhzhia is already under their control, and its legal status is not open for discussion. So now we have a critical power plant caught between three powers: Ukraine, Russia, and the United States, with none of them willing to concede ownership. But the Zaporizhzhia issue, as serious as it is, might be just one piece of a much larger game. Let's look at how Zelensky is handling the overall deal. He confirmed that he received the draft, but then he said he hadn't read it yet. And he added something curious, that any such agreement would require approval from Ukraine's parliament, the Verkhovna Rada. That might sound like standard democratic procedure, but it's a sharp departure from how his administration handled the first deal. Back then, members of the Ukrainian opposition tried to raise concerns in the Rada. They wanted the deal to be reviewed, debated, and publicly disclosed. The Zelensky government ignored those requests. The parliament had no real influence, and many considered it a rubber stamp body controlled by the president's political allies. So why the sudden respect for parliamentary process now? The answer might be political strategy, or more bluntly, damage control. If the new version of the deal includes controversial concessions, such as long-term U.S. oversight, infrastructure access, or unclear energy rights, Zelensky doesn't want to take the full blame. By putting the deal through Parliament, he creates a buffer. If it passes, he can say it was a democratic decision. If it fails, he can say he tried, but that lawmakers rejected it. This kind of maneuver is not new. In international politics, blame Parliament has become a classic tactic used by leaders who want to appear cooperative while letting someone else take the fall. French presidents, British prime ministers, even German chancellors have used it. Now it seems Zelensky is taking a page from the same playbook. And with Ukrainian elections approaching, plausible deniability is powerful. Zelensky knows that the war has taken a toll. Ukrainians are tired. They want victory, but they also want accountability. Signing a deal that looks like it gives away too much to the U.S. especially one involving national energy infrastructure, could cost him valuable support. Meanwhile, Trump is also playing his own political game. He wants a win, something tangible he can point to, especially in contrast to Biden. If Trump's version of the deal goes through, he can claim he achieved what others couldn't: a tough, results-driven agreement that benefits the U.S. But if Zelensky appears to stall, dodge, or ditch him, again, Trump may turn against him. He might portray Zelensky as ungrateful, manipulative, or weak. And that narrative could resonate within the Republican base, many of whom are already skeptical of Ukraine aid. There's more at stake here than just the deal itself. Trump's image as a leader who commands respect, even abroad, could take a hit if Zelensky walks away. And that's something Trump likely won't accept quietly. So what are Zelensky's options? Option 1, try to renegotiate. He could ask for the most controversial elements to be removed, like anything related to Zaporizhia, and then pass a cleaner version through Parliament. Option 2, delay. Drag the process out until after Ukraine's elections. That way he avoids taking a public stance and lets time shift the political landscape. Option 3, let the deal fail. Quietly. Blame Parliament. Claim he supported it. Shift the political heat. Each of these options comes with risk. If he tries to renegotiate and fails, it looks like weakness. If he delays too long, he could lose momentum or face pressure from both the U.S. and internal critics. If the deal dies, Trump might take it personally. And that could affect the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations if Trump wins in 2024. And let's not forget the public. So far, ordinary Ukrainians haven't seen the deal. There's no published version, no full explanation. That raises its own concerns. After all, this isn't just a trade agreement. It's about energy, control, and the post-war future of Ukraine. Who will rebuild Ukraine's infrastructure? Who will control the energy grid? Who will profit from reconstruction and long-term resource management? These are not small questions, and again, they're not just about politics. They're about sovereignty. Meanwhile, Zelensky walks a thin line. He needs continued U.S. support, militarily, financially, diplomatically. But he also needs to protect his image at home as a wartime leader who doesn't give in to foreign pressure. Trump, on the other hand, wants efficiency. He doesn't care for slow diplomacy. He likes to see results, fast, visible, and politically useful. So the question returns, will Zelensky ditch Trump again? The first time, Trump felt burned. Now it's happening all over again. Only this time, with a bigger deal and bigger implications. If Zelensky delays or blocks the deal, Trump may retaliate politically. If he accepts it blindly, he risks backlash at home. Either way, a decision must come soon. And whatever choice he makes will ripple far beyond Kyiv and Washington. It will shape how Ukraine is rebuilt, how it relates to the West, and how future presidents in both countries will deal with each other. So will Zelensky ditch Trump again? We're about to find out. But this isn't just about a deal between two presidents. It's about the delicate balance of post-war reconstruction, sovereignty, and global influence. And it raises a critical question. What will Ukraine look like 5 years from now? Will it be a sovereign, independent actor with control over its infrastructure and economy? Or will it be shaped by agreements written far from its borders, in boardrooms and offices in Washington and Brussels? This resource deal may seem technical, about grids, plants, contracts, but at its heart, it's about trust. Trust between allies, trust in leadership, trust in a shared future, and that trust is fragile. Zelensky is not the only one facing hard decisions. Trump, too, walks a fine line. If he pushes too hard, he could alienate a wartime ally. If he backs off, he risks looking weak to his base. And then there's the Biden administration, watching from the sidelines, weighing how this developing deal could shift narratives just months before a U.S. election. In many ways, this moment is a test not just of Zelensky's leadership, but of Ukraine's democracy. Can a post-Soviet state navigate pressure from great powers without losing its voice? Can it rebuild while staying truly independent? The answers won't come easy, but they will come soon. Because behind every paragraph of this 40-page document, behind every statement from Zelensky or Trump, is one undeniable reality. Time is running out. The war won't last forever. Reconstruction will begin. And the choices made now will define not just Ukraine's infrastructure, but its identity. So when we ask, will Zelensky ditch Trump again, we're really asking something deeper. Will Ukraine chart its own course? Or be pulled into one written by others? Will its leaders stand firm, or let political pressure dictate the future? And will the world recognize the difference? The answer to all of that starts with this deal. Whatever happens next, one thing is clear. Ukraine's choices today will shape not only its tomorrow, but the world's as well.